Ron here again with another little home project to tell you about. This time we installed a split AC in our home with a 36,000 BTU per hour outdoor unit servicing four 12,000 BTU per hour indoor units. The manufacturer is LG, and I'm going to walk you through the steps that we took to get it in there. The LG 36,000 BTU an hour outdoor unit will support a maximum of 4 indoor units and a total indoor capacity of 48,000 BTUs per hour. So we're basically using this outdoor unit to its maximum capabilities. We're going to place one of the units in the master bedroom, 2 of them in the family room, because the family room is about twice as big as the master bedroom. It's got stairs going down to the basement, which you can see to the left. And it's got an open passageway to the hallway with some pretty significant amount of glass. So we got 2 units in there. And then we got the final 4th unit way down the other end of the house in the dining room, up near the ceiling above the hallway. Because we don't want all those refrigerant lines and condensate lines and power lines cluttering up the back of the house, we're going to run the refrigerant and the electrical under the house. You can see by the dotted lines, then come up through the closet space to the storage area above the closet and feed indoor units 1, 2, and 3, and then continue along the crawl space or attic space above the hallway to the indoor unit in the dining room, which should make for a nice sanitary installation. Okay, so the refrigerant and electrical lines running under the house have to climb up a little bit to get over the foundation. So that would be a pocket for the condensate line. We want it to be free draining. Therefore, the condensate line is going to go out separate. The condensate lines for the indoor units 1, 2, and 3, which are all pretty close together, and you go down through that same closet that the refrigerant and electrical are coming up. Except instead of going under the house, they're going to pass through the wall to the bar area in the family room and pass through the bar cabinet in the back of the bar cabinet out to the back of the house. Okay, so indoor unit 4 in the dining room area is about 50 feet away from the other units. It would have been pretty hard to have the condensate line free draining all the way out to the same location. So the indoor unit in the dining room has its own separate path, and it basically goes to the closest wall through the attic space and out to the exterior. Okay, so here you can see we have the outdoor unit firmly stationed onto a flagstone on concrete floor and drilled holes and set studs in the ground with epoxy, and then we level the unit by shimming it up with 2-inch fender washers.
Okay, so we got the brackets that are going to hold up the wall units, the indoor wall units, in place. Haven't put the hole through the wall yet, but they're nice and level and in the place we want them. This is a big family room, so we're having 2 units to make sure we get plenty of air circulation. Okay, so now we have the holes drilled for the refrigerant lines, the power, and the drainage, and we'll be able to mount the unit. Now we have all the units installed. These are the 2 in the family room. And if we go up close, you can see the refrigerant line, the condensate line going down through the hole to the closet behind, and the electrical has not been run yet. So here you can see the bedroom unit, and this one doesn't go through the wall. This one, you can see the lines are going off to the right, and we'll box those in later. here's the closet I was telling you about. So you see here the condensate lines coming through the wall from the 2 units in the family room with a nice slope, so the water free flows all the way outside. And again, the bedroom unit also goes there, and then down through the closet and back through the bar area, nice slope, going down and through the wall to the outside. And here's where they come through the wall and just drain down to the pavement below, and we'll caulk it with silicone when we're all done. Okay, so this is the drain line from the dining room, which is the one furthest away. You see we've maintained a nice continuous slope all the way back to the far corner. Makes a turn to get around that vent. There you can see that's where it goes outside the building. This is too far away. Would not have been able to maintain that slope if we try to go to the back of the house where the other units are. And here you can see where it comes out of the building and then runs down to the ground. You note that I use gray PVC conduit, which you're not supposed to use for water, but that's for pressure reasons. And as long as it's only for drainage, which doesn't have any pressure, it's okay. And as I said earlier, I like the long sweeping, long radius turns of the PVC conduit. Here's a shot of the completed installation at the outdoor unit. You can see all the refrigerant lines and the power lines going under the house. If we didn't run under the house, it'd be quite a mess along the side of the house and exposed on exterior walls inside the house. Okay, so we've run the cable underneath the house. We're now going to pull it up through the closet and up to the crawl space. You can see we got our hole going through the floor, and as we go up, we got our hole going up into the crawl space above. Okay, so you can see all the refrigerant lines coming up to this crawl space behind the cabinets, which we use for storage. And basically 3 of the 4 indoor units all tie in here, so for easy access. Also, the 2 sections going to the distant 4th indoor unit also meets here and are connected with a union. Those are refrigerant lines on the extreme left side. So you can see this wall unit is the furthest away, and I've run armored cable to a junction box because that wire is going through a closet where people have access and so on. And from here to the wall unit, I'll run the thinner gauge wire called for in the instructions. There you can see the drain pipe. And here you can see I left a nice big S-turn to accommodate expansion of the copper refrigerant lines, because we have a nice, really long straight run on this one going about 40 feet. So this will take up any expansion without causing undue flex on the lines themselves. Okay, just a quick word about your flaring connections. I ordered pre-cut line sets with factory flares because 90% of your leaks are at flare connections, and I figure I'm going to have the factory do it just to make sure it's right. Well, I was pretty disappointed in what I saw. I had to cut off one length to meet a certain dimension, so I invested in this ratcheting rigid flaring tool, which goes for about $125, $130. That with the reaming tool will give you a perfect flare. and much better than what I found came from the factory. As a matter of fact, I was really disappointed in what I saw on the factory flares. There were some really obvious imperfections which could have led to leaks.
Here's a picture of the flare that came with the line set. I think you can see the defect kind of at the 1130 position on the face of the flare. You could also see that it wasn't properly deburred. There's a ridge all the way around the outer circumference. Now, this photo is a picture of the flare that results from proper deburring and then using the ratcheting rigid flaring tool. Nice clean surface without any defects.
Here you can see the junction boxes where the 4 lines to the 4 wall unit goes. The outdoor unit actually has only 2 3/4 inch couplings, or connectors rather, and so we run 2 of the wall units through each of the 2 3/4 inch, and then we split it to the 4 here in these junction boxes, which you can see are under the floor joists here. We've got all 4 line sets completed, and the power both from the panel and to the individual wall units all hooked up at the outdoor unit. So just a few final touch-ups and we'll be ready to charge the system and get it going. Okay, so here we're leak testing the system. We've got a manifold, we've got a little nitrogen bottle hooked up to the manifold, and then the valves going to the liquid side and gas side. Pressurize the system up to about 350 pounds. And we closed the valves and basically disconnected the nitrogen bottle to see if we have any loss. We'll also go around to each fitting with a little soapy water, see if we see any bubbles. So here you can see we've put a little bit of soapy solution on the fittings, and so far no bubbles. So we're in good shape.
So overnight, we were able to hold 335 pounds, and the system looks good to go. Now you can see we've installed a vacuum pump to the manifold, and we're drawing a vacuum. We've also installed a micron meter to measure very low vacuum and detect any ingress of air at the very low pressures. We've closed the valves on the manifold and turned off the vacuum pump to see whether it'll maintain the vacuum. As you can see here, it's holding pretty steady at about 450 microns. So our next step will be to bring the pressure up to atmospheric pressure with a little bit of refrigerant, because this micron meter doesn't like to operate at high pressure. And we'll remove the micron meter from the system and continue on. The outdoor unit comes pre-charged with refrigerant. However, based on the actual line sizes, some adjustment to the amount of refrigerant has to be made. We calculated the amount of refrigerant we had to add based on the length of line sets we used, and now we're using a refrigerant charging scale to put in that amount of R410A refrigerant. With the refrigerant charged, all we had to do is turn on the circuit breaker, use the remote to turn on the unit, and bingo, there we have it. The dining room AC unit is working. You can see the 68-degree set point on the indicator panel, and cold air is coming out. And water's coming out where it's supposed to be. You can see that. There you go. And we've got water coming out, units 1, 2, and 3. You might wonder why
We only have 2 drain lines. That's because 2 and 3 are combined together in one drain line. Most drain lines are 1/2 inch. These are 3/4, and a cross area of 3/4 is about twice that for a 1/2 inch. So that's how we got there. Okay, so we built a little partition to cover the lines going up in the closet, and you wouldn't even know they're there.
Now we started framing in all the condensate lines, refrigerant lines, and power lines in the storage area above the closet. You can also see that all the refrigerant lines and condensate lines are very well insulated. Now we added a little bit of plywood and finished protecting the condensate lines, the refrigerant lines, and the power lines, allowing us to still use this area for storage. Project complete. Now it's time to kick back and enjoy the nice cool air in the family room.